Like I have the chart here of Carl Jung, so I'm just going to blow it up for a second. Oops. And I've taken, oops. Okay. Everything's got, I blew up everything, sorry. That's it. Okay. So in this chart, I just took the Mercury down at the bottom, and he has a sextile to the moon, which you'd say, okay, no hassles between thinking about the past. It would be easy to make associations out. Memory. He writes a book, what's it called? Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. There's easy thinking. But his Mercury and Venus together means there's a lot of stress between his thinking and his emotions. You know, evaluating thoughts, or when he wanted something, it would be that it's in Cancer is another layer. Anyways, these things went on, and there's only one minor aspect to Saturn. So, like, you're not going to have critical aspects to every planet. Your Mercury is going to touch usually 1, 2, 3, have 3 or 4 aspects, and they're different. They're different than other people, so they'll stand out more. So, okay, this together. There we go. Okay, but we're just developing the different senses of the different layers, these layers of consciousness. In some mystical terms, they would call it, this is climbing Jacob's ladder, climbing Venus, climbing the moon, climbing Mercury, climbing Venus, and climbing up the ladder to the heavens. A lot of different mystical poems and puzzles around these things. Now, when we get to the sun, Mercury to the sun, it can only be conjunct the sun. It can never be more than even a sign away. It can be in the next sign or the sign. It can be 28 degrees away from the sun, because it just goes around the sun, and it's inside the orbit of Earth. So when there's 2 types of conjunctions, one conjunction happens when Mercury is retrograde, and one conjunction happens when it's not. So when Mercury is retrograde, it means Mercury is closest to the Earth. It's between the Earth and the sun, and it's really making everyone think much more intensely in it, because everyone trips over each other more. So you get the Mercury retrograde idea. But that means when Mercury is closest, when Mercury is conjunct the sun and it's direct, it's on the other side of the sun, far, far away. And your sun is your confidence, your radiance, your ability to radiate love and confidence. Wow. How much can your Mercury live up to and align to it? Well, if your sun's confident, it's easy for the mind to think that way. But if the mind's not thinking well, like these things interpenetrate each other so well that, but if you were to take different psychological problems or different spiritual problems or blocks people have, as you're looking at their chart, you're going to start seeing in these aspects, their moon or their Mercury has these aspects, and you're going to be able to see, though you can ignore the others, these are the ones that the stress comes from. So these are the ones where the complexes are going to be. So with the sun, when the sun and moon is the past and the future, with Mercury is always close to the sun. Where am I going to do? What am I going to do? How are we going to make this happen? It's always trying to get things to the sun. It's always trying to get the light, see the purpose of things and be intelligent of it and line up to it. But it keeps being pulled into the moon, into Venus, is being pulled in other ways away from its heart. So Mercury can be light or dark, and it's just thinking. The soul gains whether it's light or dark, the soul still gains the experience. But the Mercury to the sun can make someone overconfident, or really the stressful axis is the sun, the arrogance and the playfulness and the confidence of the sun gets attached to the Mercury. So even if you don't know what you want, even if you're not going to keep up a good front, make it look like you're good, you're the teacher, you're the person that you're proud, it adds a sort of pride element to your Mercury, which comes out that you might be talking to everybody, but you might not listen that well. You might be so sure of what you need and what's right, or what's confident from your experience. You might not think that clearly about other people and other experiences. So the self-centeredness of the sun can affect the thinking. Okay, so I wouldn't try and define this too tightly. Usually, it's like any of these inner planets. It just means when the mind's positive, the sun will really, the confidence will really be positive. But the sun is putting its energy on the Mercury. We're looking at Mercury, and the sun, the outer planets start dumping it on the inner ones. So it's not so much that Mercury affects the sun, all it does to a certain degree. If you're looking for more separative, it's how the sun affects Mercury. If you're so confident of your thinking and you know what you're going to say and so sure of what you're going to say, you may say things that are really arrogant and out of touch with what other people need to hear. But it could create, like, it's a funny thing. When the Mercury gets really within a degree or so of the sun, some people take 3 degrees. I don't even usually think about it like this. It's called combust because the Mercury gets lost in the light of the sun. So in other words, the person has to be in touch with their heart and their ego, which is the sun. And Mercury aligns to it. This is affected by where the confidence is. But as Mercury is aligning to it, it's still being nagged by mom and by the sister Venus. And it's still being for what it wants and how it needs, but it's connecting to the sun. There might be an arrogance, an overpotence of the overconfidence or the arrogance of the ego and the thinking. So you could think egotistical thinking, or like really demanding a lot of attention when I speak, or demanding it. That sun comes in on top and adds it onto the Mercury. And it predominates. It's, this is important, this is what I got to do. And then the Venus and the moon get sublimated, but they're still part of the thinking, but they often get sublimated behind the sun. It depends where you're living. Are you living in your moon? Are you working on your Mercury? Are you living and you're developing your values? Are you trying to get to your own confidence of your own life in the sun? We're all trying to do that. How much can we do that? We all want to bring our past with us. And most people, we get along best if we don't bring our past with us. It's better, we can relate easier if you don't know if I was divorced a few times. Or if I don't need to bring that up. My moon in Cancer brings up all these stupid things and it messes up. It demands the attention. So my past keeps coming up to me. But everyone has their own story here. And the sun, you're being challenged. It's your confidence, your radiance, it's your purpose in life. It's how you're going into the future. And the mind's going to be tied to that. So the mind is always saying, this is the way out. This will go to the sun, go this way. But the other things come up and they become other agendas. Not especially people have a hidden agenda. They're being nice in one way, but they want something else. Or this is all this kind of stuff, texture of it. If anything, the sun to the Mercury is going to make someone a little more proud or arrogant about their thinking. They may talk at you more than with you. But they could be great teachers. They could express things out. They can do it. They could be very creative with it. But again, that very stress factor puts attention to my thinking, not our thinking. It has different social repercussions because of that. As soon as you said you're looking at social repercussions, thinking above or below the horizon, like you have all these other factors come in that embellish this or they explain this. Okay. Once you start getting to the outer planets, you really have the external world, external situations coming in and affecting our inner faculties. So we have inner faculties of what we like, what's contentment, what's not, what we're thinking, how we're making choices, how we're thinking about things, how we're planning things, our sense of relevance, and we have our memories, and we have our sense of purpose in it all. But then what are you doing with your life? How come I can't get the job? How come every time I try to do this, I get blocked? How come someone else always wins the race? Or how come I'm the only one, nobody's ever going to compete with me? Like, you start putting energy out Mars, and you start forcing this energy out to get experiences outwardly. And if your memories are bad, that's going to come with you. If your thoughts are negative, that's going to come with your actions. If your choices are wrong, that's going to come with your actions. So If your confidence is up, it's going to reinforce your actions. If confidence is down, it's going to affect the actions. So that's Mars, your muscle tone, your energy. But Mars, a difficult relationship of Mercury to Mars, the conjunction, the square, or the opposition, it creates a sharpness, a harshness, an anger, a restlessness. The impatience, the anger, the force of Mars is affecting the thinking. I got to do this now. I got to do this. This has to be done. Like I have Mercury conjunct Mars. I'm powerful in my use of words and how I communicate. Want to argue? 3 ex-wives. So like, but at least that's how I think. But I am too strong in my thinking. Too strong compared to most people. I get bored and I'll interrupt and I'll say something to just force the conversation in the direction I don't want to go in. Of course, other people could take offense at that and do, and I got enemies then. So Mars is pushing your thoughts, but your thoughts are colored by your family, your mother, your feelings, your past. They're colored by your values of what you want and don't have, and what you're getting or not getting. And if you're not getting something that you want, and Mars is affecting your Mercury, you're going to be damn mad because you're not. You're going to be angry, sharp, fighting. And you're like, boy, I've learned more from my bad teachers and my enemies than ever from my friends. They get me mad, and I'm going to prove I'm going to be as good as that, if not better. I got to have to go fight that. I have to fight it with knowledge. I have to learn more things. I have to, yeah, to me, that's normal. To someone else, they think I'm really wound up in my thoughts and I'm pushing things so far. It's like, what, phew. You know, like and it works differently. You grow up, you have it when you're young, that's normal. Then you get up to teenage years, and you get to your 20s and the 30s or 40s. Each decade, you're evolving your relationship to this. I've had to work very hard to get rid of anger. Even to this day in my 70s, I still work I see anger come up, and I want to do things with it. I have to stop doing things for the anger. But when the anger goes, why bother doing anything? So I'm using the word anger, but it's stress, it's energy, it's tension. These people are ready to fight, ready to argue for their idea, or push their ideas on others, or be angry when someone else is pushing their ideas on them. So as that tension is there, there's a tendency to drive too fast, talk too fast, to be harsh, you know, and be restless and quick to judge. So that's the Mars element. It doesn't diminish the intelligence. The Mars Mercury can increase the intelligence. It just diminishes the patience. And as soon as any one of these diminishes the patience, these are like branches on a tree. Oh, a whole bunch of things will be happening in life because of that, until they've learned to calm the mind. So Venus wants something, Mars is doing it. Mars can't do more as much as Venus wants, and Mercury's having to talk to the two of them about it. So Mercury as the mediator, as the thinker, this is relative to this. It goes in so many directions, so diversified. It's really magnificent capacity to think in so many different ways, to take different insights, see things different ways. But Mars does add this harsh element, this pushy element, this restless, impatient, prove things with words, prove your ideas, push for it, fight for them. And with that comes, often there's a lot of sports factors would have the Mars Mercury, because they're fighting with their agility. They're harsh, they're tense, but they're alive to the moment. To pass the ball, push the, fight for this or push for this. So it has those good qualities, but they're not necessarily the easiest to live with.